And again, if you look at the sources, both the Arabic and Islamic and the European chronicles, they make it unequivocally clear this was violent bloodshed, conquest. And it's even worse in the Arabic recordings because they boast about it. The more violent it is and the more, the atrocities committed against the Christian infidels and the more churches destroyed, this is more a reflection of how pious the Muslim conquerors were. So it's actually worse in the Arab. I always find this amazing that it's more graphic sometimes than the European ones, which are a little more objective. They say, yes, we were attacked and thousands were butchered and enslaved in churches. But the Muslim ones revel in it. Okay. And so now let's just stop for a moment. None of this is being taught in any school at all.
Can I just ask, do you have a sense of the death toll in that first century?
No, I mean, unfortunately, 7th century is what we're talking about. We're lucky to have just the records that we have. But, and I know I put it in Sword and Scimitar where I talk about various regions that get conquered and then some chronicle mentions a number. Okay. But it's very hard. It's very sketchy that time. I mean, we're now nearing to what traditionally was called the Dark Ages because we have, which by the way, and we can get into, is a product of Islam. Okay. And many people don't know this. And since I'm at it, okay, we're almost there. So basically after what happened and so the Mediterranean used to be known as kind of the Roman lake, and everyone, Egypt and Syria and all of North Africa and Europe were all connected. It was part of one empire. After Islam took everything basically south of that, North Africa and the Middle East, and I already told you that was the richer, more profound, the more sophisticated region. Little Europe, the rest of the Christian was cut off completely. Papyrus ended. It used to come from Egypt. That supply was eliminated. All of that is historically, was the beginning of what historians would call the Dark Ages. Okay. And you don't know, I mean, and one historian, Henry Perrin, he was, I think, a Belgian historian in the 19th century, an Orientalist, as they called them. He actually had an entire thesis about this. And basically his line is, without Muhammad, there'd be no Charlemagne. The rise of Charlemagne and the Frankish state was basically a response to the nonstop Islamic aggression and and the discontinuity of the Mediterranean. This is why now Europe had to develop on its own and start anew. And it was, it was the young kid on the block, the barbarians who had, conquered and assimilated into Christendom in the 5th century and whatnot. They no longer had the assistance of the East as they did before. Okay. And so now they became the small final bastion of Christendom, and they continued being attacked by Muslims. So, to finish this idea of the Dark Ages. So so people will tell you the Dark Ages historic, and they don't even want to use that term anymore for various reasons.